Hi everyone, it's LadyJenevia. Today's video is going to be a spoiler-free review of the first 3 episodes of Defending Jacob, which is a new series on Apple TV. If you are new to my channel and the reviews that I post on here, then I would suggest that you go and watch my spoiler-free review of the entire season, because some of the things that I will be talking about in this video are building off of things that I said already in that one. I wasn't originally planning on doing any more videos about Defending Jacob because I didn't think that anyone would be all that interested. I'm also still working on another review about a completely different topic. Doing this one in the meanwhile gives me something to post so that I don't feel as rushed in working on that other video. So, let's get started. Episode 1 is the pilot. This is where we are first introduced to the Barber family. You get a first glimpse at who they are as characters and the relationships they have with one another, as well as the other people in their lives. We get to see Jacob at school. We get to see Laurie and Andy in their respective workplaces. Laurie works somewhere that has a really bougie marble statue in the conference room, and it smells a lot like privilege. We get to see Andy at his place of work and how he and Neil don't really get along, and honestly, I don't know what they're fighting about when they're wearing matching outfits. Oh, no, wait. Everyone in this show is wearing blue. Blue is a sad color, you know? Or maybe that's just the blue levels in the color grading bumped up all the way to 9,000, because we all need a reminder that Defending Jacob is a sad show. I tried to be festive, you know? My shirt is blue and there is a skull on it. Because death. It's really important to pay attention to the dynamics of these interpersonal relationships, not only within the family, but the other people that they come into contact with, because you're going to see over the course of the season how those things change when you throw in the grenade, as it were, of a murder accusation and a criminal trial. There are also some really nice shots to look at in this episode, courtesy of cinematographer Jonathan Freeman. I really liked one of the first shots of the episode, which is of the back of Andy's head as he's walking up to a building. You can actually see that shot that I'm mentioning in the show's trailer at the 22-second mark if you have nothing else to do. You probably don't. We're all inside, aren't we? There's another shot that I really like that's from behind and a bit above Andy, where he is working on some things, and the way these items are spread out in front of him is just really pretty to look at. This is also the episode with the "that's what she said" joke. Am I being petty for bringing it up again and saying that I don't like it? No. Sarah is the MVP character of this episode because she is wearing a shirt with the Great Wave off Kanagawa on it. Okay. We love a character with great taste in art. If you follow me on Twitter, then you know that I was rambling a lot about the color stories of the show, more specifically the strong emphasis on the color blue. There's a really cool set design where you have a character moving through an interior space, and as they move from room to room, the lighting in each room alternates between blue and yellow. I just found the color design to be a really important part of the show, at least with doing my rewatch of these first few episodes. It does seem like it serves a purpose. Some of the color design that you see, I do think is more so just people doing their job very well and making sure that it looks nice because it is a visual medium of art. But at the same time, the saddest scene in this episode, or at least one of the absolute saddest scenes in this episode, is in a room that is entirely blue. And that's not only because of color grading. The walls were painted blue. As I've rewatched the show, it does seem like the aesthetic tends to go a bit more yellow when the emotional tone is a little bit different. It's meant to be a bit softer. There's more of a focus on things like intimacy in interpersonal relationships, love. And listen, I understand that not everyone is out here wanting to look at these microscopic details to do with filmmaking and editing and production design, and some of you just want to know, well, does Andy look good in this episode? Andy is out here rolling up to a crime scene in a pretty blue tie and a popped collar. Sir, this is a crime scene, not New York Fashion Week. Episode 2 is called Everything is Cool, and for the sake of staying cautious, I'm not going to share all that much about episode 2 and 3. It's building off of stuff that happens in earlier episodes that have not been premiered to the masses yet, and I just really don't want to get in trouble. What I will say is that episode 2 is when we first start to see the cracks in the seemingly picture-perfect family. This is when you are going to see more conflict come into play, both externally and internally for these characters. And I think one of the things that I found most interesting about rewatching the episode after having seen the full season is that there were little details that I didn't realize were as significant as they ended up being. Things that start to build over the season, I guess I didn't really notice them until they became more dramatic in later episodes. And as it turns out, in rewatching it, the problems were starting here. It goes to show how strong the writing is and the pacing. Episode 1 is when you get emotionally invested in the family, so then when things start going wrong in episode 2, then it has more impact on you as the viewer. Last bits to say about episode 2. I know that you're probably sick of me talking about color, but I will say that I really appreciated a lot of the vibrant green color grading for trees and shrubbery in this episode. I didn't necessarily read into that as some sort of statement about, oh, well, the clash between humanity and nature. I didn't think that that's really what it was there for. I think it was just people doing their job and making sure that it looks nice, and they were successful. But one thing that I could argue has potentially some symbolism, considering how much I've been ranting about the color blue, is that Jacob has blue earphones. Don't most of us either have white or black earphones? But if you're just wanting to know if you're going to be riled up watching this episode, Andy starts to yell in this episode. Does that do it for you? Episode 3 is called Poker Faces, and right off the bat, I'm going to say that that's a very cool title, and you should pay attention to why it's called that. The author of the Defending Jacob book used to work in law before becoming an author, and this is the episode where I think you really start to see that knowledge is there in the writing. There is so much crime content in films and television series, and yet this episode felt like something entirely new in regards to depicting what people experience both in and out of a courtroom when they or a loved one are charged with this type of a crime. There was something that Jacob did in episode 2 that Andy also does in episode 3 that I really appreciated as far as storytelling goes. When you can find those types of parallels, it's just really satisfying to watch. If you don't notice it on the first watch of episode 3, then I would tell you to go back and rewatch episode 2 and then watch episode 3 again and see if you can pick it out. And then if you want me to do a spoiler review and you want me to talk more about things that I'm addressing in this very vague review that I don't know if anyone will have any interest in watching, but let me know and I will maybe consider doing spoiler reviews or spoiler discussions as well. I don't know if anyone really cares about my opinions that much, but if there's an audience, then why not? In a very general sense, I would say that the running tagline of episode 3 would be, well, that escalated quickly. This is also when you first start to see some very fundamental differences between Andy and Laurie. You will start to get a glimpse of what their recurring tension will be throughout the season, and things get very dramatic very quickly. Another thing you should probably pay attention to in this episode is advice. If you are in life or on this show receiving good advice, you should probably listen to it and follow it. You heard me. Do as you're told. Ooh, let me not quote RocknRolla in every video that I post on this channel. I'm sure people are so sick of me doing that.
You heard me. Do as you're told.
The point is, perhaps there is advice given in this episode that is very important to follow in what's to come throughout future episodes. So pay attention when you're watching. Finally, you will probably want to know, am I getting fed in this episode? Well, there is a point where Andy is standing, and I think most of us, when we put both of our hands out like this, we put our hands on our waist. But Chris Evans has his hands significantly lower, not even on the sides of his hips, more so on the front of them. And it's almost like he's framing... I can't really explain it, but it's very excessive. So that's going to be it for today's video. It was an interesting challenge to try to go more in depth, but also not reveal anything spoiler ridden. You can let me know if this is something that you would like for me to do for the other episodes as well. If you want me to wait and do spoiler reviews instead, or if for some baffling reason you want me to do both, I am certainly open to doing them. These are much more simple videos for me to make than a lot of the projects that I tend to place upon myself on this channel, especially in recent times. I'm just thinking about the Stardust video essay that I did and how very, very opinionated I got on that one. Be sure to also follow me on my other social media pages, which include Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Vero. See you in the next one. Bye!